All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Shohei Otani has a new baseball home, and he won't have to go that far for his introductory press conference with his new team. Why? Because after spending the first six MLB seasons with the Los Angeles Angels, Otani is staying in Southern California as he will be joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. Otani is getting the richest contract in MLB history as it's a 10-year deal for a whopping $700 million. dollars. Plenty of big market teams were courting Otani this offseason, but at the end of the day, his heart simply was in LA. And you could see quite clearly that Otani is very comfortable there. And I think all of the green that the Dodgers gave him to put on Dodger blue made him that much more comfortable as well. So we knew that his contract was going to be big. I didn't think it was going to be this big. And it's one of those, and the reason why I say that I didn't think it was going to be this big, you wondered because after he had to have the second Tommy John surgery, would that scare some teams off? I mean, there was talks easily that he was going to get $500 million, even possibly $600 million. All of this was pre-injury, and you still had to wonder would somebody go out there and take a chance? And the Dodgers indeed did it. You have to ask yourself, did the Dodgers outbid themselves in the process? I'm not sure, just from the standpoint that they knew it was going to take something big, and they knew that it was going to take a deal to blow him out of the water. And honestly, it was going to be from whatever team did it. I said, you know, last season, I said, the Mets are obviously going to be you know, in on Shohei, but at the end of the day, they put out feelers and it just wasn't happening for them. The San Francisco Giants, I expected them to make a push. They did. It once again didn't work out. The Chicago Cubs made a push. The Toronto Blue Jays as well. And I know that the Toronto Blue Jays were one of the finalists. I just didn't see it working out there. And the reason is because Toronto has some young guys like Vlad Jr. that they need to take care of financially as well. I just didn't see them spending that money. The Cubs, maybe, but I'm not sure if Shohei A wanted parts of the cold weather or B being in Chicago. I really thought if Shohei was going to leave Southern California, that possibly the San Francisco Giants could do it. But it's one of those where at the end of the day, Shohei wasn't going to go to a team that still needed to build. It's one of those scenarios where if you go to the Dodgers, you can say, okay, maybe the Dodgers are a player away. Maybe Shohei is that player that's going to help the Los Angeles Dodgers. Clearly, that was not going to be the case in Chicago. It wasn't going to be the case in San Francisco either. And if Shohei wanted to stay on the West Coast, obviously it came down to the Dodgers and Giants as far as who was going to give him the money. And again, I really think that this young man is very comfortable in Southern California, in the LA area, and this is going to be his baseball home going forward. For me, I'm looking at it. The Dodgers more than likely they're probably just going to get a designated hitter for 2024. Shohei just had that Tommy John surgery. He's not going to be able to pitch. Obviously, it's going to limit him. It's going to limit his fielding X, Y, and Z. But I think in recent baseball history, seeing how Bryce Harper has been able to come back from that Tommy John surgery as a hitter. And remember, he spent the bulk of this past season as a designated hitter for the Phillies and then a first baseman. So, but nonetheless, I think it's doable and I think Shohei can still contribute. And obviously the Dodgers feel that way, else they wouldn't have given him this lucrative deal that they did. The Dodgers obviously are not lacking star power, as always. You got Shohei, you got Freddie Freeman, you got Mookie Betts, who manager Dave Roberts is talking about moving to second base. And these three guys in your lineup, you're now talking about three former MVPs. Of course, Betts with the Boston Red Sox, Freddie Freeman with the Braves, and now you got Shohei, a two-time American League MVP. The Dodgers, they lost some key players for last year in free agency. We saw pardon me, not Max Scherzer, Trey Turner rather, sign with the Philadelphia Phillies, and now you get yourselves another star if you're the Dodgers in the middle of that lineup. Make no mistake about it, the Dodgers know how to spend with the best of them, and that's been their calling card for the most part since this ownership group took over more than a decade ago. Basically, you look back at it, and the Dodgers were basically clearing salary as they knew they wanted to make a push for Shohei this offseason, and they did it. Obviously, some of that money is going to be deferred to help the Dodgers as far as payroll taxes, X, Y, and Z. But nonetheless, they got their guy. You heard about the false reports yesterday in regards to Shohei going to Toronto. I just didn't see it, and I just wanted to sit back and wait until something was confirmed because, it was a good story, X, Y, and Z, but I just did not believe in my heart of hearts that Shohei was going to go to Toronto. We're going to be talking about this deal for a very long time, being that it took $700 million to sign him, and being that Shohei is one of, if not the most intriguing players in Major League Baseball right now. Now, going back to last season, I will applaud Angels team owner Artie Moreno for going all in prior to the trade deadline. But this is why industry insiders said, hey, the Angels should have traded Shohei before the trade deadline in order to get something back. Now, what are you going to get? You're going to get a compensatory pick, which is great. Um, while your best star is staying in Southern California with the rival, at least in your area. The Angels clearly were not going to spend $700 million to keep Shohei Otani. Like I said, Artie Moreno went in just prior to the trade deadline and the wheels fell off. Mike Trout getting hurt again, Shohei getting hurt, them literally getting rid of guys right after they traded him, and in the process they gave up some prospects to do it. So this Angels team, they're in a free fall. There's no other way around it, and they have to find some semblance of order over there in Anaheim in order for them to compete. Now, you look at it; it's going to be time for the Angels to rebuild because you've got a 32-year-old Mike Trout, and the injuries are getting the best of him. You gave up so many of your prospects to go out there and make moves to the trade at the trade deadline last summer, and then only to turn around and get rid of some of the guys that you acquired right after that. The Angels, put it like this: if the Angels weren't playing in the American League West with the Oakland A's right now, they would be the worst team in this division, and a lot more people we would be talking about them. But if there was a team in Major League Baseball that was in dire need of a reset, it is definitely the Angels. So I'll tell you like this was a business move for both the Dodgers and Shohei right here. Why? Because him staying in Los Angeles gives him the opportunity to build his brand there. Shohei is loved. Shohei is an iconic figure there. And if you're the Dodgers, it's the gift that keeps on giving because, yeah, you might be giving up $700 million in salary to this guy, but guess what? He's going to fill the seats at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers really don't have a problem with attendance anyway, but nonetheless, this is only going to enhance their product. This is only going to enhance their brand as well. And I'll tell you like this: Shohei is a gold mine for marketing. I don't think that the Angels did as good of a job marketing Shohei that the Dodgers are going to do marketing Shohei. And I think all of that factored in here to this. And like I said, this was a business decision. And on top of that, we're going to see Shohei in the playoffs. That's something that we clearly didn't see with the Angels. And again, that goes back to, the structure of that team. The Angels for the past several years have had two of the best players in baseball during this era, and they didn't have one single postseason appearance with both Shohei and Mike Trout on the team to show for it. That is definitely going to change with Shohei. Obviously, the expectations going to the Dodgers are going to change for him as well. And speaking of those expectations, is his presence being Shohei Otani, is that enough to make the Dodgers the favorites to win the World Series? I'm not going to go that far and say that the Dodgers are favorites right now for a variety of reasons. Shohei is not going to pitch this year. Shohei is a guy also that even when he's healthy enough to pitch, you're talking about somebody that has now had two Tommy Johns. The Dodgers still have some holes in their pitching rotation, and you can have all of the talent that you want in your lineup. If you can't pitch, you're not going to win in October. And honestly, getting back to Shohei going to the Dodgers, I think it was also another move for the Dodgers to really help their brand. Why? Because yes, the Dodgers have made the postseason in each of their last 11 years. Yes, the Dodgers have won the National League West in 10 of the last 11 years. They have a World Series championship to their credit in 2020. This is a team that has won, more than 100 games in each of the last 2 years. Obviously, early postseason exits allow your product, if you will, to be a little bit stale. So I think fan base wise, uh, this ignites or reignites the love for the Dodgers and their fans in Los Angeles. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go as far right now and say, Shohei's presence is enough to make the Dodgers the World Series favorite. Major League Baseball, especially with the competitive balance, especially with free agency, you name it, it's making it more unpredictable. And I think this is what the team owners around the league wanted. They wanted more parity. And we've seen it in recent years. Come October, the teams that go in with the best records that are expected to do the most damage for the most part have not. So, with that said, I think the Dodgers are still going to once again be a darn good regular season team. Yes, they still have to make some moves in their rotation, but when it comes to October, it's a totally different story. So we simply got to wait and see. But you look at, what has transpired so far during this week. Juan Soto is a New York Yankee after the Yankees and San Diego Padres made that big trade. And now Shohei is a Dodger. So with the two biggest players off of the market right now, who's next? And I think you're going to hear a lot about the Japanese star pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto. A lot of big market teams have been linked to trying to go out there and get his services. The New York Yankees, the New York Mets. You're hearing about the Boston Red Sox. You're hearing about the San Francisco Giants as well, just to name a few. And I think Yamamoto is going to get a pretty penny himself to come to the United States and pitch. It's just going to be a matter of which big market team goes after him. Does signing Shohei take the Dodgers out of the Yamamoto mix? I'm not sure. We got to sit back and wait and see. But nonetheless, I think he's going to be courted and he's going to be paid very handsomely very soon. So at the end of the day, will Shohei be worth the $700 million for the Dodgers? I'm not sure, and the reason is because the Dodgers are going to make their money back. Yes, from ticket sales, merchandising, marketing, you name it. But when you're a marquee team like the Dodgers and you are a marquee player like Shohei Otani is, you know what? People are going to judge you by the championships that you win or do not win. Now, like I said before, Shohei is more comfortable in Southern California. This is why it was a long shot for him to come east to play for either the Mets or Yankees. I said this last season, and you can go back and check that I felt that Steve Cohen, the Mets team owner, would not be outbid for Shohei. But I think at the end of the day, maybe he would have just driven up his asking price because I'm not sure if Shohei wanted to play in New York to begin with. And I think the proof is in the pudding right here. He's very comfortable on the West Coast. Yes, LA is the second biggest media market in the country, but you don't have to deal with the media in LA like you would have to deal with like maybe in a Chicago or Philadelphia, New York, or a Boston. So at the end of the day, you know what? If you're comfortable and they're willing to pay you like the Dodgers just did, you know what? Then hey, I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to knock you. You got to do what's best for you. And at the end of the day, it's simply a business. So we got to see if Shohei is going to be able to live up to these lofty expectations. Because yes, you don't have the same type of media coverage and pressure in LA, but nonetheless, when you sign a deal like he just did, then you know what? people are going to, critique and really put every single move that you make or don't make under the microscope. Steve P was going on, my man. Yeah, you know what? You got the money symbol right there. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You know, to quote, Ted DiBiase, he always said, you know what, everybody has a price. And at the end of the day, the Dodgers were able to truly indeed find Shohei Ohtani's price. So this is one that was expected but unexpected. We didn't know what was going to happen with Shohei. Very quiet, kind of like, as far as like where this thing was going. You knew it was going to come sooner rather than later. And of course, sooner happened today. You're saying he'll probably have to be a closer sooner than later, starting in like 2025. Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to be the pitcher that we saw this year prior to him getting hurt. But I still think, for the bat, the name, and the brand, I think, it totally makes sense for him to go to the Dodgers. So I think, you know what? I think he's going to be on the marquee more. You know what I'm saying? You're asking, will he hit enough to make that money worth it? Shohei, for the most part, he's probably going to be like a 275, 280 hitter, 35 to 40 home runs, 100 runs batted in. And then now, you had Mike Trout in your lineup. So now you got Freddie Freeman and now you got Mookie Betts as well. But again, with the Dodgers, you're going to be front and center on the West Coast. The Dodgers are basically the Yankees of the West Coast. So, you're under that microscope there. But West Coast microscope ain't the East Coast microscope as far as New York and LA goes. So it's one of those where I'm really not sure if he's ever going to be quote unquote able to live up to the contract per se. But if you're the Dodgers, you'll make it work from the marketing aspect. And again, like I said, people will show up to watch Shohei watch somebody else play. That's how intrigued people are with him. So if you're the Dodgers, it's all about an investment. And I think from the money aspect, the Dodgers will definitely get their money back. Championship aspect, that's a different story. I think we got to play the old wait and see card on that. But at the end of the day, you know what? Shohei made his business move. The Dodgers made their business move. He's staying in Southern California. Like I said, he's just making that trek from Anaheim to LA. So it's going to be very interesting to see what type of reception that he gets once he goes back to Angel Stadium. I think the folks there should love him. I think the folks there should appreciate him. Unless you had your head in the clouds, you really didn't expect Shohei to come back to the Angels for this season, just due to the fact that the Angels weren't going to be able to spend the bread that they did. The only way it could have happened is if Artie Moreno had decided to go through with the sale of the team, which of course he decided to do the 180 on, and I think that really changed it. He's going to change. He's definitely going to DH this season. That going to the National League, obviously things change now that the DH rule is universal. But nonetheless, I still think he'll have some type of impact on that lineup. It's going to take him some time to get adjusted, elbow wise as he works through it. But nonetheless, I think Shohei is going to be worth it for the Dodgers. So let's see how this works out for Shohei on the with the other LA area team. And then on top of that, let's see what the next domino is to fall here in free agency so far. If you're a Yankee fan, you got to be happy that your club got Juan Soto. If you're a Dodger fan, you have to be very happy that your team just got Shohei Ohtani. Now let's see who's the next big market team where their fan base is going to be drooling when they get a big name free agent to agree to play for them. We got to wait and see. You're saying hashtag Yamasoto for 2024. Obviously, I think I'm going to go on a limb and say that you're a Yankee fan here. So let's see if it happens. Obviously, it's going to be a big market team that signs Yamamoto. Will it be Yankee pinstripes or will it be the blue and orange for the Mets? Or will it be another team? We've got to wait and see. But speaking of teams in the big market that are trying to make deals, you look at the San Francisco Giants, and once again, they're striking out. We saw them try to go out there and get Aaron Judge. We saw them try to get Chris Bryant. Obviously, Chris Bryant would have just been a big name. It hasn't worked out for him with the Colorado Rockies. But nonetheless, if you're the Giants, you still got to try to go out there and make a move. The Giants play in a big market in San Francisco. They've got money to spend, but they just haven't found the people to spend it on as of yet. But nonetheless, just like it was for October, like this past postseason in the playoffs, there was a lot of excitement. The excitement has gotten kickstarted already for this hot stove version here heading into Christmas, and I think it's only going to heat up. There's a lot of people, myself included, that can't wait to spring training, but I also can't wait to see what the next big deals are going to be coming around the bend here in the off season in Major League Baseball. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. Steve Peter, as always, it was a pleasure. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for the support. It is much appreciated. And if I don't talk to you between now and then, definitely happy holidays to you and all of your loved ones. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off and saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.